How to buy a house with no money. Is it possible to buy a property using little to no money? The answer is absolutely yes. I have done over 500 property transactions. I've been full-time in property for the last 15 years, since 2009. And there's 4 ways that you can buy properties without using any of your own money. And in this video, I'm going to reveal everything. It's really interesting because people think you need a lot of money, but that is a trap. Because if you want to save up enough money to buy a house, the average house right now is about £300,000. Deposit's going to be about 75 grand. For you to work hard in a job and save 75 grand is probably going to take you about 10 years, by which time house prices have doubled anyway, so now you need to save up all over again. Most people don't understand the correct way to invest in property, and I'm going to show you in this way how you can literally buy a house with zero money and you can get started straight away. So if you enjoy the sound of that, hit like, let's go. The first way to buy a property without using any of your own money is to joint venture with other people and use their money. Now you might think that sounds too good to be true. That's not possible. But let me tell you something. This is what rich people do. Now you might think, well, why would rich people use other people's money to invest in property when they're rich and they can use their own money? Because rich people understand the power of leverage. If you use other people's money, you can buy an infinite amount of deals and snowball your portfolio. Even banks do this. Did you know that when banks save your money, they invest it? And a lot of the time, they invest it into property. Lloyds Bank, their goal is to become the largest private landlords in Britain. How do they invest in property, Lloyds Bank? Well, we put our money in the bank and they use our money and invest it in property, make sky-high returns and give us 0.1%. Did you realize that you could do the same thing? You can find people that have got money in the bank, whether they be friends, family, uncles, aunts, business associates, or come along to property investment events and find people that have got 50 grand, 100 grand sitting in their bank. And these people, a lot of people that have got money, they haven't got what? They haven't got time. Doctors, lawyers, they've got money, they've got savings, but they haven't got time. So what you do is you find incredible investment opportunities and you partner with them. And you say, listen, I found this house. I've negotiated down to 100 grand. It needs a big refurb, but we're going to split it into flats and push the value up and make 100 grand profit on it. It's all lined up. I've found it. I've negotiated it. I've got the builders in place. I've got the management companies in place. Why don't we set up a company? You can loan your money to the company and then the company can buy the property, do the refurb, refinance the house, pay you back, and then we'll own the property together 50-50. That is a good proposal. If you're skillful and you're valuable, then you don't need money because you can put your skin in the game as your value, as your knowledge, as your time, as your expertise. That is one of the most easy, most straightforward ways to grow your portfolio and to become wealthy through property without using money, but instead using time and knowledge and inclination. The second way is deal sourcing. Maybe you're not comfortable or confident to pitch investors and say, let's set up a business together. So you can start by just simply finding investment deals and passing them over to investors, not asking for a percentage of the deal, not asking to set a company up and joint venture with them. Just charge them a broker fee, charge them a few £1,000s. This is deal sourcing, and good deal sourcers are super in demand because think about it. If you're a doctor or a lawyer and you've got 150 grand in your bank and you really want to invest in property, but you don't want to go out on a Tuesday afternoon in the rain to potentially have an appointment cancelled. You haven't got the time to scroll on Rightmove and to ring agents and you ain't got the time or the inclination to do that. So what are you going to do? You're going to pay a deal sourcer. The deal sourcer is going to go out there, find the deal, package the deal, then present it to the investor, and the investor is going to pay typically about 2% of the purchase price. 2% is peanuts. You pay more than that in stamp duty tax to the government when you buy the house. So you're paying 2%, but if the average house is £300,000, that means you, the deal sourcer, are making a fee of how much? £6,000. And what have you done? You've just called a few agents, gone out, viewed a few houses, negotiated, found a deal, passed it to an investor, made 6 grand. If you're really terrible at that business and you're a terrible deal sourcer and you can only do that once a month, which is terrible, you're gonna make 6 grand a month. That is twice the average salary in the UK for just finding and selling one deal in a month and then take the rest of the month off. Like, this is the most simple way. If you're aggressive and you do one a week and you make 6, 12, 24 grand in a month. Now, some of you again, right now, you're thinking 24 grand in a month. Come on, get real. Yeah, very, very, very realistic. I've got hundreds of students in the UK doing that kind of money. 24 grand in a month, spend half and invest half, and very quickly, you've now got a little pot, a little deposit where you can start investing in your own deals. And which deals are you going to invest in? the very best ones that you didn't want to pass on to investors. See, when you're a deal sourcer, you're getting paid to view houses. The very best ones you cherry pick for yourself. Deal selling. Everyone should be a deal seller. Number 3, purchase lease option agreements. Now, purchase lease option agreements, this might be a little bit confusing, so take note here. It's when you buy a house now, but you agree to pay for it later. Now, this blows people's minds. Like, how can you buy a house now and pay for it later? And when is later? Typically, the lease option agreement later might be 5 years, 6 years, 7 years down the line. What's the great thing about doing that? The great thing about doing that is if you buy a house now, but you pay nothing, or okay, technically you have to pay £1 as a purchase lease option fee. But if you take a house now and you pay £1, and you have the option to pay for it in 7 years, what are you going to do in the meantime between now and 7 years? You're going to rent it out. You're going to make money every month. And what are you going to do with that money? You're going to put it into a little pot. And then after 7 years, that pot is going to have grown to become what? The deposit to buy the house. And what happens to houses generally over time? They go up. It's not like you're buying a sofa and agreeing to, and this is very normal to buy things and pay for them later with sofas and holidays and cars. If you buy a car, typically, you might buy PCP. You'll buy it now, you'll pay a very small down payment, and then you'll pay a small monthly fee, and then in 5 years' time, you have the option to either walk away or to pay a balloon payment and to buy the car. But at the end of the term, what's happened to the car? It's gone down in value. And also, last time I checked, it didn't give you any rent. If you do it with a sofa, even more so. You do it with a holiday. Buy the holiday now and pay for the holiday later. But the holiday doesn't exist anymore. So you're paying for something when it doesn't exist. Whereas with a house, if you structure a purchase lease option agreement with a house, you'll buy it now, but by the time you come to pay for it in 5, 6, 7 years, it's appreciated in value. So you've benefited from the capital appreciation, but you've also benefited from the rent. And believe it or not, this is a very normal way to buy properties. If you go into a high street estate agent, or if you ask your mom or dad, or you're at school and you ask your teacher, they'll say you can't do that. Yeah, you can. Ask a rich person that's in property. It's very, very, very standard. I've done 6 purchase lease option agreements this year on 3 pieces of land, 2 hotels, and a factory. Buy now, pay later. Very standard. We had a guy called Ian Patterson, who came to my property investment crash course in 2017, and he was in a corporate job, working full time. When he realized that you could buy a house now and pay for it later on a purchase lease option agreement, he got his first deal, and he was like, damn, why am I stopping at one? He went and did another one. Before he knew it, he had a whole portfolio, £1.8 million property portfolio on lease option agreements, quit his job, working in the corporate job, and was all over the newspapers. Everyone was like, oh my gosh, he's bought all these houses. But it's very standard. For me, it's not even shocking, it's normal. So study purchase lease option agreements. You can come down and meet me for a whole day at the Property Investors Crash Course. I'll share all day. I mean, my attitude is, sometimes people say, Samuel, if you're so successful in property, and if you've done so many deals, why on earth would you share on YouTube how you're doing it? Why on earth would you run a crash course for a day and charge £1 for people to come and see you and share? And the answer is because I believe that basic financial literacy around property investment and finance, I think it should be available for everybody. I think it should be taught in schools. I just built 2 schools last year in Uganda on the basis that I'll pay for the school building as long as the government would let me have a say in the curriculum so that kids could be financially literate. So for me, this is a mission. So come down, I'll leave a link in the description, pay £1, we'll spend a day together and I'll teach you exactly how to do this. But finally, step 4. Step 4 is rent to rent. Rent to rent is what we call rental arbitrage. That's where you rent a property on a company let and you agree to rent it out at a higher amount. Now, you don't own the property, but you control it. You might have heard the saying, own nothing but control everything. Some of the most lucrative businesses in the world, some of the richest companies in the world, like Amazon, for example. Amazon's probably the most successful company in the world. Amazon don't own their stock. They're the middleman. Someone will list something, an independent buyer will list it on Amazon, and then someone will sell it, and they'll be the middleman in between. Uber don't own their cars or their taxis. They're the middleman. Airbnb don't own their hotels. They're the middleman. It's very powerful being the middleman in real estate. You can get very, very, very rich. So if you rent a property, let's say a studio apartment. You rent a studio apartment for £700 a month, but then you turn it into like a mini hotel. How do you turn it into a mini hotel? Furnish it nicely, put a little lockbox outside and put it on Airbnb, booking.com. Now you rent it out for £100 a night. £100 a night is £3,000 a month. Now, sure, you got costs, you got bills. It's not going to be 100% full, but you're only paying £700 for it. So the profit, which might be £1,000 every month, that's yours to keep. If you do this with just 2 or 3 little flats, you've replaced an average salary in a job by rental arbitrage rent to rent, company let. So if you do these 4 things, if you master these 4 things, you could become extremely wealthy in property. As I mentioned before, if you want to spend a day with me and you want me to show you, I mean, at the crash course, damn, I'm literally on the phone to agents, I'm finding live deals. It's almost like you come to my office and look over my shoulder and watch me find deals. So I'd love to spend a day with you. I'll leave a link in the description. Come down to the Property Investors Crash Course. Let's do deals together. Let's get money and let's have fun. I'll see you there. Link in bio. God bless.